evening, I'm Natalie Spalla in for Tessa Spencer. Take a look at this. That silver SUV crashes into the front of House of Brews in West Ashley. Glass shattering, covering the vehicle. Then it sped away. Our Amy Russo stopped by there today. She tells us what's next for the craft brew business. It's a story you'll only see on ABC News 4.
You can see right behind me plywood and skid marks. That's all that's left at the House of Brews after a car slammed into its front doors before speeding away on Monday. Pieces of scrap metal put in a box. That's the least of the damage left behind from a vehicle that slammed into the front windows of House of Brews on Ashley River Road.
Dumbstruck, honestly. I kind of thought it would be maybe window busted out and some damage to the wall, and then it wasn't until I pulled up and saw like this entire wall was gone and just trash. We have seats here, tables here, everything was in a pile. There was posts in the middle of the bar, glass all the way into the back.
According to the incident report, Charleston Police found the car involved less than a mile away. The driver nowhere to be found.
See this stuff on the news, but you never kind of put yourself in that position until it happens, which I never in a million years would have thought this could happen to us.
Bar employees woke up to the news of the tragedy. Kayla LaCosta says she spent hours overnight cleaning up what she could. She came back at daybreak.
It was a sleepless night, but we're here, we're fixed, kind of.
Despite the damage, Rob Davis believes it could have been worse. The spot where the vehicle hit is where families gather.
This is where people sit, this is where people hang out. We weren't open late.
The car hit just a few hours after closing. All that's left now, marks on the floor, caution tape, and a damaged chair. Rob does expect to open back up on Wednesday, but he does say these doors will still be closed. Guests will have to come in through the back.
What do you see for the future of your party right now?
Well, that was our Ann Emerson posing a direct question to Congressman James Clyburn. Many credit the lawmaker from South Carolina with helping the president get elected. She found out if the majority whip is concerned about the president's all-time low approval ratings.
1, 2, 3, go.
James Clyburn is digging in when it comes to his old friend and president, Joe Biden.
I don't know why one would think that if you give a person a 4-year term, he's supposed to do everything in the first year.
But the congressman knows President Biden's approval rating is tanking among his most loyal base. The Associated Press recently reported the president's approval rating among Black Americans sunk 30% in the last 6 months. Only 6 out of 10 Black Americans approve of the job the president is doing right now. The problem? Clyburn says it's time to adjust our expectations.
Well, I think the country itself, and maybe even the world, people believe in instantaneous results.
Political analyst Gibbs Knott says the Democratic Party needs to do a better job with talking about successes like passing the infrastructure bill, especially when more people are getting frustrated.
Folks are frustrated with the supply chain problems, the price of gas, inflation, and so much of what people think about their elected officials is how the economy's doing and how their own personal pocketbooks are.
But the concern the congressman says he has right now is not necessarily the public opinion surrounding the presidency. What he's concerned about is what's going to happen in just a few months with these midterms. That's when the entire House of Representatives is up for grabs and a third of the Senate seats. With the voting rights legislation on the cutting room floor of the Senate, Congressman Clyburn says newly revised state voting laws could turn back the clock when it comes to civil rights.
Some of those laws are now being put back in place in Alabama, in Georgia, in Florida. That's what concerns me. And for people to think that just because we are where we are today, we'll be there tomorrow.
Mental health resources creating a crisis in the classroom. Our Tara DeBoer talked to a medical professional and state leader about what can be done to better handle the increasing number of struggling students.
The number of kids that have mental health problems is about a third of kids. It used to be 10% or so. Now it's about a third.
Dr. Janice Key says we've reached a crisis when it comes to students and mental health. She says CCSD will soon be implementing more resources for students.
But we have the goal of having Charleston Dorchester Mental Health Partnership at every school, and some of the larger schools having more than one counselor.
Additionally, there's a new program being launched called End the Silence in partnership with the National Alliance of Mental Illness.
And basically that means monitor yourself and monitor those around you, your family and your friends, and notice when somebody is having a problem, hopefully before they have a crisis. But if you notice someone who is in crisis, tell someone.
Suzanne Snyder is the mental health program manager for the state. She says the goal right now is to get more programs and counselors.
Hopefully it would be one counselor per 250 students.
Snyder told us the state is working to use ESSER funds to get more counselors and psychologists in school. She says mental health and academics go hand in hand.
So if you're not able to regulate your emotions, if you're having some behavioral issues or developing mental illness, it's really going to affect how your academic performance.
And when it comes to support for students, Snyder says there are 3 tiers.
One would be they would reach all of the students, maybe do some mental health education, do some mindfulness, social emotional learning techniques. And then tier 2 services would be a little bit more intensive mental health counseling.
The 3rd tier would be even more intensive counseling. Snyder has only been in her role for 6 months, but she says she plans on implementing new programs soon.